We're back. But this time, we're back on a serious note.
For real.
For really serious. We're not.
We just decided that we would share this.
We normally try to make these lighthearted, funny stories, stuff like that. There have been a couple church hurt, other things about family and stuff that have been kind of serious. So this one is going to play off our church hurt episode. That was one of our first few that we did, our church hurt, or maybe in the middle. But this is going all the way back to church hurt. But on the brighter side of things, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a new listener, if you have been listening and you did listen to our church hurt podcast, kind of a rewind. I grew up in a Christian household. My dad is a Baptist preacher, and how things ended with the church. We were at the same church for 14 years, 15 years? I don't even know. Something like that. Years. Kind of left a bitter taste in my mouth. And then, kind of when I came out as gay, I don't even know if I had to come out or not. I don't have this big coming out story. I am who I am, period. And so once everybody around me started to pin or put the pieces together, the way that these Christians treated me and stuff really just put an extra bitter taste in my mouth. And I was like, I don't want nothing to do with none of y'all. Then Amy, we're giving a backstory if you're a new listener. So you're back quick.
I was at a church for 20 some years, served the children of the church. And then once certain parishioners found out about my relationship with Elizabeth, which I wasn't keeping secret. I'm an open book.
No, we have never kept it a secret.
Never, maybe in the very, very beginning before we were ready to talk about it.
Period. Well, that's what I mean.
Just once we decided it is what it is. I was told that my services were no longer needed at that church.
They kicked us out because I had just started going back. She had been going without me, and I was like, I'm not ready.
And I was like, my church family's great. I promise. They're wonderful. They're loving. Like, I had all this faith in them where my faith should have been somewhere else, not in those people.
So I started going with her, doing the kids with her, and I just kind of stood back. If you know me in situations like that, I'm just quiet, stand to myself, don't talk, whatever. Well, after I started going, that is when she was asked to leave and not come back. So obviously that meant me too. So then we were like, okay, whatever, bye. And we just kind of took our own personal journey with Christ. And I still was kind of iffy, like, do I want to have anything to do with it? I wrote a bunch of songs about it because y'all know me and my music, and it's just one of those, I speak through my music. And it really resonates with me. I wrote a song, and it's literally called I Don't Want It. And I wrote it more so towards my family. But I mean, it was genuinely or generally pointed to the whole church and all of these people who had proclaimed to be Christians in my life. And the song talks about, if you are portraying who Christ is, then I do not want it. If this is who you say he is, and this is how you say he would treat me, and my confusion and my walk with salvation, I do not want it. And so now looking back, that song, to me, it makes me sad. I don't want to say it's one that I regret that I wrote, because it's really how I felt.
I don't think you were. I think if that version of what they portrayed Christ to be to you, you didn't want it. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to.
I know, but
So I don't think that was a bad thing. I think what you wanted is what you have.
I know, but I'm saying when I think about my intentions, my intentions weren't good to say, like, I don't want the kind of Christian or the kind of Christ that you serve. I wasn't saying I don't want it, let me go find my own. I was saying I don't want any of it. And that's where I regret parts of that song, because through this journey that we've found and walked, I've really learned that I did want it, just not the way they gave it. So then, fast forward, after she left church, we didn't go for a while. I always ask her.
I feel like a couple years.
Yeah, maybe a year or two.
Yeah.
I always asked Amy, like, how do you... I was never confident in my faith. Like, not my faith. I never thought I was going to go to heaven. Let's just cut it clear. I've been told my whole life, gay people go to hell. You can't go to heaven, blah, blah, blah. If you're gay and you act on it, you cannot go to heaven. And so that was hardwired in my brain. And it's, if you know me and my story, it's not like, 16, 17, 20, 40. I was like, oh, I think I like women. I mean, a 6-year-old, I knew. So it was not something I had to really battle with. I feel like more so not my sexuality I ever battled with, but my religion and salvation is what I've grown up battling with. Mm-hmm. And so I always ask her, like, how are you so concrete that you are a Christian, that you will go to heaven? And I mean, we would debate. And then we would debate.
To the point we couldn't even talk about it.
And I'm not talking debate Christianity. We would flat out debate on homosexuality. We would pull scriptures, and for the longest time it really killed me that she had nothing to back her up. And she's like, I'm not knowledgeable enough in it to know. And so she said, I am going to find out. So she went on her little journey, got as many books as she could, and she studied. And I was like, if it's not coming from the Bible, I'm not hearing it. I don't want a study book. This is what the Bible says. We have to be wrong. I mean, just plain out. I'm just not lying about any of it. And she was like, well, then this is going to either break us or just going to be something that you have to figure it out, because I am concrete in this. And I was like, dang.
Like, I couldn't explain it. It's just something that I know within me.
And Amy has a really, really hard time explaining it, even when she knows it. Yeah. I am a very black and white person. I can give it to you all out on paper. I can have everything, this, that, and the other to back why I believe what I believe. And that's been something that I've struggled with this homosexuality is I am such a black and white person. When I read this in the Bible, it says this, 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 and this. I was like, man, it's clear as day. It is clear as day. And so then, fast forward again, I told Amy, I said, I've got to figure it out. I'm driving myself crazy. I have to literally figure it out. So Amy calls it my grand awakening. Like, I'm from like the 1700s when the Pilgrims came over to America, and it was like this great awakening.
While I was turning butter one day, she called me.
Like, I don't want to call it my great awakening, but I took the steps needed for myself and my faith. So I'm a nanny. Y'all know that. Took the kids to the park one day, and I'd never really heard this song. I really hadn't. And so
you've heard it.
I'd heard it, but I didn't know it.
Playlist.
Yeah, I didn't know it. I'd heard it just here and there. I think it was going viral on TikTok, maybe just snippets of it. And so on the way home from the park with the kids, just something kept telling me, you need to play Goodness of God. You need to play Goodness of God. And I thought, what? And so the park's not really far from my house. And I thought, okay, well, when we get home, I'll make the kids lunch and turn on Goodness of God on my speaker, and the kids can go play. Well, holy moly macaroni. I turned that song on, and I believe in that moment. I believe in that moment I got saved. I've been very open with Amy and to say I don't think I was saved up until that point. I knew all the answers and knew how to get saved and knew what a Christian looked like, but
according to how you were raised.
Yeah, but I think it took that level of my brokenness and my longing for him for me to actually put my pride aside and say, okay, I need you to help me. And so I think I got saved that day. So called Amy, told her what had happened. She was like, well, what does this mean? And I'm like, I don't know, because I've grown up in the church. So it wasn't like, it was like, man, I gotta do all this. Like I had already done it. And that doesn't mean that you don't do it even after you're saved. But like, it wasn't like this spectacular journey where I'm like, I'm going to start reading my Bible. So I had told her, I said, my first thing is for myself to be able to find as much knowledge as I can around the homosexuality thing to prove it to not only to myself, but I don't know why, but I feel like I need to prove it to my family.
Mhm.
And it's just something that's not talked about. I mean, I get told I'm going to hell and everything. And so I studied. I studied day and night. I studied to the point where Amy thought I was still going to leave.
Yeah, like selfishly, like I was so excited that she had this because it's something that I've wanted for her for a very long time because I knew that's something that she needed in her life.
Mike.
So I knew that's something that she needed in her life, but it's not something that you can push on somebody. It's something that they have to find. And so it just took a little bit of time. So I was so thankful that she had finally gotten to that point. But on the flip side of that, I was like scared because now what does this mean for us? Because I know how concrete she believes in black and white. And I know how I believe in context of the black and white. So what does that mean for us? Like I was scared. So I think I just kind of
She
recoiled
completely
back.
shut down, and I was like, "What are you doing, ma'am?" That bug just like flew out my face. I'm like, "What are you doing? You're not helping the situation."
No, but I felt like that she had to figure this out. I could be here and support, but she just had to figure that out.
So I studied. I had Bibles, books, notes, scribbled paper, thrown away paper, paper written down. So I had got all my questions that I needed answered that I didn't know where and couldn't answer myself. Contacted a preacher friend, went to dinner with him, asked my questions, talked with him, and I was still iffy. I was like, I just don't know.
She's a black and white person, so she needs the answer. She needs it right in front of her as concrete evidence. And so that's what she was looking for, that definitive answer for herself.
Yeah, and I was struggling to find it.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the same time,
I think a few weeks before, I'd gone to get my teeth cleaned.
I think it was after.
No, it was a few weeks before.
Okay.
But I just never said it because, yeah, it was just a few weeks. Maybe within a week or so. I don't know.
Well, before I've had my 1797 Great Awakening, we had discussed going back to church. And where would we start going? And I was like, well, I don't know if I want to start. She didn't know if she wanted to start.
It's just hard. It's hard when you're not accepted in society, first of all, especially not accepted in the Christian society, so to speak. It's like, where do you go? Like,
where do
what
we
you
belong?
do?
Like, we just want to go and worship Christ. So, anyway, a couple weeks before my Great Awakening, Amy went to the dentist.
And my hygienist, Stacy.
Hey, Stacy.
um,
Hey, like your friend set you up with your girlfriend or boyfriend. Stacy set us up with Jesus.
Yes. Holla.
Holla.
So Stacy goes and she sits down on her stool and she's like, oh. And I'm like, what's wrong? She said, I'm sore. We've been line dancing at church once a week. And she said, I'm just sore. I hadn't moved like that in a long time or whatever. So, she just talks about how much fun she had at line dancing. And that was that. And she said, if you ever want to come check it out, they're acceptable, like accepting of you and
Not
Elizabeth.
acceptable.
Accepting of you and Elizabeth in your situation. I was like, okay. Thinking in the back of my head, well, she's not going to go anywhere. I don't know that she'll really want to dive back into that because it's heartbreaking when you want to put your heart and soul into a community and then they just completely turn their back on you instead. Like, it's just heartbreaking. And I don't know if I could have gone through it again. And I don't know if she could have gone through it again. I think that would have been a nail in the coffin if that was the situation.
No,
I think it would have.
Yeah, like, I don't know.
So she's like, we've got a new preacher and he's really good and he's super nice. And so I was like, okay, well, thanks for letting me know. And then my teeth are cleaned and I move on.
So then my Great Awakening happens, and then once I'm really starting to dig, Amy presents with Stacy, tells us about her church, told me about her church. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to Google it. So I'm Googling it. I'm on their Facebook. I'm looking at pictures, watching his preaching. And I was like, okay, think I might want to try it.
So I was more of a traditional.
So I grew up Southern Baptist. She was Methodist.
Yeah. So we're very traditional. Like it's the choir, it's the hymns, for me. And
Well, we were hymns and stuff too, but it's two different denominations, so it's
completely
different.
different situations. And so it was very much like all the churches we've been to, she was very much, well, they're not even preaching out of the Bible and blah, 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 blah. So it was like, whatever. Like, and then some places we go, the music was too loud. I'd leave with the headache. I'm like, I can't do that.
Karen. See, at least mine were fairly biblical. He didn't even use a point of the Bible, and he was like, "That music is too loud.
It's too loud. I'm not going back there again." So we decided to take that leap of faith.
Yep, we sure did.
And we have been at Blair Road United Methodist Church since August, September. I don't know. Sometime during that.
Whoa, there's our dog. So anyway, we started going to church, guys. And we have still gone to church, guys, and it has
we
been almost a year, a little less than a year. But
and they have a band, and it's not too loud.
Yeah, it's a good compromise. It's got a
combination.
It's a good compromise of a Baptist feel that I've been looking for, and the Methodist,
the love of the Methodist, not the condemnation.
But so they got a little live band. The music is great.
Everybody there is so kind.
The first day we went, I mean, and it's not like, you think you go to churches and you're like, oh, it's got a couple older folks in there. Mm-hmm. How are they going to feel? No. Mm-mm. Have always felt 100% welcomed, 100% love, from the youngest people there to the oldest people there to the preacher and his wife. And I am
Rick
not
and Suzanne.
I am not one. I'm sorry. I don't go around throwing out compliments. I'm very hard to impress. And so
it's very hard to break through the shell here.
And so
of a human.
Well, I'm a good read of everything, and I have enjoyed it thoroughly. Mm-hmm. And if I hadn't, I even told the preacher this, if we hadn't liked it, I wouldn't have came back. Mm-hmm. And so we have been there. Unless we're out of town, we have been there every week. And we even watch it online when we are out of town. Like, I don't know if I've ever been as committed faithfully to a church. Like, I want to hear him preach. Mm-hmm. I want to be there. I've never felt like that before with the church.
And we've even started doing like our own Bible study together and separate.
Yeah, we do one. We wake up in the morning. Well, I was going to try to dig deeper into all of that too. So we start going to church, and it's been great. Mm-hmm. Church has been great. And so then, out of my research, I mean, I really have come to a point where I am like, there is no doubt in my mind that I am not a Christian. When you see what a Christian is in the Bible, and when Christ talks to his disciples, and the disciples ask, what is it to be a Christian or whatever, and Christ answers, there's no doubt in my mind that I am who that is. And I think one thing that bothers me is that if I was to just go out into the world, I've really tried to, not that I had a horrible foul language mouth, but like after all of this, and since I believe that I've gotten saved, not that I think cussing is a sin or anything like that. I'd still believe you do you. But for me personally, I never want somebody to look at me and think, oh gosh, like she is not a Christian. So I have literally tried to change the way I talk, the way I think. And yeah, I'm human. I'm going to be negative and stuff is going to happen. But like, I have really, really tried hard to fully
embrace and
exude a Christian. Fruit. And so one of my fears is when I leave our house, and anytime I have interaction with somebody, nobody's going to look at me off the bat, because the world today, they look at gay people and they think just from what they've heard, there's no way they can be saved. They can't be a Christian. Whether you know how I act or not, just because I'm gay, you are going to
automatically
assume we're not Christians because we're gay, because that's what the world hears from any religion. Not any religion, but for the majority, you would think, if you're outside of a church that supports it, you're going to think, man, there's no way they can be saved. And so now I want people to look at me and think, oh gosh, she's gay. Oh my goodness. Like, but yet she exudes this holiness and Christ-like walk that is just like crazy. That is what I want to portray. And so,
I think you do a good job.
if I don't leave the house more than Sunday, but
Are we perfect?
no.
No. Do we have a long way to go? Yes. But it's our walk. It's our journey. God meets us where we are. And it's just the things that we learn along the way.
And another big breaking point that I had was throughout this. Time out. I'm fixing to whisper in Amy's ear.
I can't hear that. I got this thing in my. That's up to you. What you want to share.
Okay. So,
I mean, whatever you say, just know that.
Okay, so
somebody may
listen.
listen to it.
so
It's your truth.
we somehow have a mole that like sputes out.
For the longest time, she didn't want certain parts of our life to be out there.
No, to my family, and it's
No, I
not.
didn't want to say it. I wanted
I'm
you
gonna
be
say
upset, not me.
family,
Okay.
because, and not some family, but some family. Some family has been very supportive of us. I don't take that away from them. They've been great. We love them dearly. They have made me feel
Love and
accepted, and
yeah.
never less than them. And they're my favorites. But then there's the other side, and it's not that I'm embarrassed. That is something, because they always tell me, if you feel like you're hiding it, if you feel like we shouldn't see it, then you're embarrassed. You know you're wrong. And I'm like, no, it's because I don't want to text saying, just saw your post, you know you're wrong, we love you anyway. Like, I don't want to hear it. So if you don't see it, it's whatever. I'm not embarrassed. Everybody, yeah, you break my heart. Like, I've gotten those texts, and I'm like, okay, well, y'all are just going to be, I'm still their friend, but they can't see everything I put. And so, out of all this journey, I am walking strong in my faith, and get a text from my dad. This has been recently, y'all. Get a text from my dad that says he texted me something and asking me if, do I read the Bible or something like that.
Are you going to church?
He said, are you going to church? And I said, yep. And I normally don't even answer questions like that, but I was like, you know what? I'm just done. And I was like, yep. And he was like, good. Where? Ow. And I told him, Blair Road, United Methodist. Sorry, guys. I didn't know it was Blair Road. And he's like, that's great. And so every day, every Saturday night, he invites me to his church. Come and go to church with us. No, Dad, I'm going to my church. But I don't say that. I just normally just be like, yeah, I love you too. And I do love him. And so then he texted me something about a Bible verse or studying the Bible.
Pick up the Bible and read it for yourself. Don't go by what people tell you.
Something like that. And so I just ignored it. I'm the professional at ignoring it, whatever. Let them sin what they need to sin. That's who they are. I still stand by that. I want them to respect me as much as I respect them. So I didn't respond to that. Well, then like 2 days later, he texted me and he said, did you ever pick up the Bible and find out what it said? Or something like that. Mm-hmm. And that just sent me off. And I was mad that he just assumed that because I'm a lesbian and they think I'm sinning and in the wrong, that I don't read the Bible and I don't go to church and my church isn't good enough for him because it's not Baptist and he's not my preacher. And it set me off. So I told Amy, I said, I'm fixing to send them a text. Mom wasn't really involved with this, but I just felt like she needed to be a part of the text. And it was one of those texts that you had to click because it was so long. And the gist of it is I literally quoted what Dad said as the opening. Why don't you pick up the Bible and read it or something? And I went off on them. And not in a bad way. I stood my ground and I stood up for myself in the way
what
of
you believe in.
I'm a Christian, and how dare you judge me because I don't live how you think I should live. Mm-hmm. And it was a very long text, and I don't think I was mean, but I did stand my ground. I've really never stood up for myself like that when it comes to my parents before. And I let them know that I think I'm saved and I've done my research, and I did my research days upon days, weeks of studying. I've talked to preachers, that I go to church, that I mean, it was to the point where I'm like, I cry when I'm singing in the car. There was never an ounce of me, even growing up, that I wanted to go to church. I did Bible study so I would know the answers for you, not for me. And I'm like, now my whole mindset is changed. I pray not because you're going to hear what I say, mom and dad. If you hear me praying at our Bible study at night, I pray when Amy's gone. I mean, there's been times I've gone up in our bedroom and I've just got on my knees and I've prayed. I have never in my life prayed like that. Like, I went down the list to let them know, like, how dare you? And, well, they didn't respond.
Crickets. Hit the cricket button.
And then, well, they didn't respond in that group text. Like, a couple hours later, or maybe the next day, my mom said, she texted me privately, I just want you to know I love you. And then dad texted me outside of the group text, and he said,
Something about talking about it in person.
yeah, he said maybe we can meet and talk about it in person. And then I never responded. I told mom I loved her, and then didn't respond to dad. And then, like, the next day, mom texted in the group text and said, like, so now, like, 2 days have gone by since I've sent that big text, and mom said, thank you for sharing your side of the story, or something like that, because it was long and there was much more than just me defending my faith. We would love to meet with you in person. As you know, things can be misread and misinterpreted through text, so we think this is something that needs to be talked about in person. If you would like to, we're up for it. And I never responded. Still can't decide if I want to meet with them in person or not. The thing with them is, it's not like, it's not ever easy to go and talk with your parents about situations like that. And then on the other side, it's never easy to go. Not that we're going to fight or nothing, but like,
almost like she would feel backed in a corner.
Yeah, and they know black and white, because that's how I was raised. So I can tell you everything that they're going to say back to me, even with my proof or how I feel. Mm-hmm. And so it's just one of those things, do I really want to get entangled in that? So I can't decide. Anyway, but
I'm proud of you.
I did draw the line. So now, instead of dad telling me that I need to get saved and read my Bible, he tells me every day to keep digging, because the truth will prevail. So, it's like,
and I said, what if it's God trying to teach them something? Why do they assume that it's her that's got
and I don't disagree with that. But like I said, I will always respect them and who they are as much as I want them to respect me. So, I feel like I drew the line in the sand, and I feel like I still respected them and who they are. I just wish they would do the same for me, but I don't know. But
I hope this helps anybody.
That's where we are. I'm gonna title this one "My Great Revolution." Wait, My Great Awakening. My Great Awakening, 1791.
Your spiritual awakening.
And I could keep talking and go deeper and deeper, because, like,
we're not gonna have enough storage.
We're not gonna have enough space, and I know y'all ain't gonna listen to all this anyway. But if you took me, who I was almost a year ago, beside me, who I am today, I feel like it's a complete
different.
I think so. I think my anxiety's gotten better. I think who I am as a person and my goals in life and how I treat others, and I think I've really worked. Or for me, I feel like I've really worked hard. I hope you think that too.
I do. I can see a difference.
Thanks. Thanks. Okay. But I still can't get her to pray out loud. Let's close this in prayer. Because in our Bible studies, I'm always like, well, let's like pray. I'm like, let's pray out loud. I'll pray, you pray, like together. We don't have to pray at the same time. And she's like, no. So then we'll sit there in quiet. And I'm like, are you praying?
Literally, we would sit in bed at night. She got these headlamps for
okay, so I can't see my Bible.
Zombie apocalypse times. And so we put this
We
headlamp
can tell about
on.
that in one episode.
We put this headlamp on.
And you hit it and you can adjust it.
Yeah, and it goes like this. And so we sit there and read with our headlamps on in bed.
Yeah. I've enjoyed my personal devotional. I've enjoyed it with you. I think it's brought us closer. But yeah, I have to read sometimes with my headlamp. But one time we was doing our Bible study and it was time for, I think it was the end of it. And so I always pray to myself before, Holy Spirit, really lead me, guide me, let me get what I want out of this. And then when we're done, I pray to myself because obviously we don't pray out loud. I pray out loud, but
She'll make fun of me. So I just don't.
well, anyway, so she won't pray
Tell
out
me,
loud.
Emma.
So I won't make fun of you. You just think because I was raised in the church, I have more knowledge than you.
No, I used to pray aloud all the time.
I ain't never heard you pray out loud.
I know.
You gonna pray out loud tonight? Nope. So anyway, so we were laying there and we finished our Bible study and I was praying in my head. So I'm laying there like this. You remember this?
I don't know what you're going to say.
You interrupted my prayer and I was laying there like this. And I think you said something like, "Oh, are we going to bed?" And I said, "I'm praying." You don't remember that?
I'm in perimenopause. I don't remember a lot of things.
Oh, Lord.
That's a whole nother episode.
I can't believe I've got like 7 more years of perimenopause. We're not even in menopause, so I might have 10 years left. Hey, but she's
You
finally...
Like your girl's a little bit older. I just want you to show love tonight.
So anyway, but yeah, at least her menopause has recently gone from ice cold to freezing. We have to have the heat on an 85-degree day to now she's hot. And I'm like, thank you, Lord. But anyway, this has been Living Outside the Closet, sharing our faith. Sharing is caring. We hope that you have a faith in Christ like we have found throughout all of our troubles and all of our trials. He has never left us nor forsaken us. It has been us who has walked away from him. So if you have been a person, why are you laughing?
Because Neelan wants to be a part of this.
Neelan, did you walk away from Christ too? If you have been a person who's walked away from Christ and you feel at the lowest of your lows and you've really watched this whole video, never give up on Christ. Join us at Blair Road United Methodist Church every Sunday at 11:11. Neelan, stop.
That's the contemporary service.
That's the one we go to. We could have a meet and greet with Living Outside the Closet. Anyway, but I'm telling you, Christ never leaves you. So always remember that. He loves you no matter where you are at in life, no matter who you are, no matter who you love. If you have an undying faith, undying faith, both of those faiths, you've got it. Anyway,
He will meet you where you are.
you have to be open and willing and sit your pride aside and say, I want you. Because you already know he wants us. You have to want him. Anyway, we better end this episode.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.